Uh, Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Captain's Logs. I'm your host, Chance, better known most places as Captain or Captain Redbeard. Welcome aboard. Uh, I know in my last episode, my first episode, I said that the whole reason I'm doing this podcast is to just talk about random stuff, normally my life or stuff I'm doing. So I get better at talking to a camera because I am terrible at it. And so, shout out to the guy on YouTube who told me that it's just going to get better with practice, which, that's the goal. That's why I'm doing what I'm doing. To alleviate some of the looking away I did last episode, I moved my screen preview from my secondary monitor up to my primary monitor. So now when I go to check on stuff, I can see the camera and it works a little bit better. Also, hold on, sorry. I'm thirsty. I forgot to open my drink. For those of you who aren't in the know, Dr. Pepper Zero is the best diet soda, and it's not even close. It's not even close. But oh, Captain, you have dead air while you drink your Dr. Pepper. I don't care. Yeah, I'm great at this, aren't I? In my last chapter, or my last episode, I guess I should say, I did say that I was going to be releasing these Monday at 11, but for the last half last week, I wasn't able to speak. I'll get into that a little bit later. And then I had to work. I work in food service, and I never work Sundays, but I had to work yesterday because it was Easter Sunday. So now I'm filming this on Monday, and then I'm a really poor editor, and my editor is busy, so it's going to take me a while to, cut some stuff out and then post this. But it will be out today, being Monday. I will get it out for y'all. Um, so yeah, earlier I said someone left me a comment. I want to go over comments on this podcast. If anyone has any advice or questions for me, if they want to give me their 2 cents on something, or if they want me to give my 2 cents. So if you have anything you want to say, go ahead and leave a comment below. Yeah, I said that I had trouble talking. I actually didn't stream last week. I try and stream twice a week. And I didn't stream because on Tuesday at like 11 o'clock, I went in to the dentist for the first time in like a decade. And this dentist is a good friend of mine. I really don't like dentists, but, I was a lot more comfortable with my friend doing it. And so I went to the dentist and got a ton of a lot of work done. I ended up getting 7 fillings, which is, 7 too many fillings. But my teeth are just sensitive and sore all the time. And I know it's normal for a couple days. And so I texted my buddy after a few days. And he told me that it could take up to 6 weeks for the sensitivity to go away. And I was like, dude, 6? Seriously? I was like, I could be hurting for 6 weeks. And, I'm just going to have to deal with that. But it's all right. It's not too bad. Only like 2 of the spots, sometimes 3 of the spots really get hurting. But the first like 2 or 3 days, I couldn't speak because even opening my mouth, the air coming into my mouth made my teeth hurt. That was just terrible. So I just spent a couple days silent, which anyone who knows me personally knows that's really hard to do. I went to dinner with friends. I went out on Friday and they all made fun of me and called me old. Because I had to let my food come to room temperature, and I requested my water without ice, which they all were flaming me about. They were acting like I drink every drink without ice, when I've never once asked for no ice before at a restaurant. These guys have known me for years, but whatever. I do D&D Tuesday nights regularly, every Tuesday night, and I told my party that we were still going to be doing it. My wife's a member of the party. And I told him we were still going to be doing it, not to worry. I'd see them all at 8. That's when we meet. But I had to, because I'm so nervous about going to the dentist, I had to have oral sedation. And the first round, like, didn't do enough, so they actually gave me a second round. So I ended up falling asleep on my couch with a half-eaten Taco Bell burrito in my hand, because that was the nearest food item that was soft to chew. That was that was it was the closest soft to chew thing in line from the dentist to my house. My brother drove me. For those of you who don't know, I have a twin. He shows up on stream occasionally or in some videos. And he drove me, and he's not the most patient man in the world. But he stopped. We got me some Taco Bell, and then he came, and he was sitting with me while I was eating, and I gradually just slumped at like a 45-degree angle, and fell asleep with a half-eaten burrito in my hands. At some point, my wife came home from work, and she and my brother switched places on who was watching me. And I was adamant that we were going to be doing D&D. I had set an alarm for 7, because I do planning like several sessions ahead of time, so I always have something going on. And as my wife tells it, which she has no reason to lie to me, she never has before. My alarm started going off, and I had no reaction to it. And she tried telling me my alarm was going off, and once again, no reaction. So she literally picked up my phone and put it on my sleeping face. And when I didn't react for like 5 minutes, she turned off the alarm and texted the group that it was probably going to be off because I was still unconscious. But we're going to be back to it tomorrow. But for evident reasons, we're going to be skipping dead air again. Wow, look at me go. I'm incredible at this talking to a camera live roll thing. This isn't scripted, by the way. I don't like scripts for like anything that I do. So my podcast, as well as all my videos and all my streams, I don't do scripts. And some people are okay. Some people really like the more natural everything, but I'm not a fan of it. But anyways, as I was saying earlier, we're going to be skipping the little segment I do where I talk about my favorite D&D moments from this last week, because sometimes my players do a lot of really funny things. I don't just run one group. Sometimes I'll run like for different batches of my friends or different mixed people. But my regular game I run is my wife, my twin, and 2 of my twin's friends. That's kind of like my bread and butter game. And they're a great group. They're a lot of fun. But we're going to be skipping my favorite moments because there was no moments to go over as I was unconscious on the couch all the way through when D&D would have happened, and it's hard to run a game without a dungeon master. So yeah, that's great. Something I want to gripe about really quick. I don't know how many people like go out to eat on holidays, or how many of you people, I should say. I know people do it. I work food service regularly. But what was I saying? Oh, working on Easter is terrible because you get a lot of people coming for the holidays, and it's fine. It's whatever. But don't be rude to people who are letting you celebrate a holiday. I feel like that should just go without saying. Don't be rude to people who are helping you celebrate your holiday the way you want it to be celebrated. Don't feel entitled to it, which that doesn't happen very often. What drives me more crazy, and happens a lot, is I get people coming up to me directly, apologizing. They're like, "I'm so sorry you have to work the holiday." And it's like, lady, you're the reason I have to work the holiday. You're the one who insists on coming here with your family. That makes me have to stay away from mine. If you really feel bad about it, don't come. I won't see you next year, and then I won't have to work next year. And I wish that was just something that everybody could like get through their skulls. It's like, if you're gonna go, don't try and be nice about it. Don't try and be kind about it. You're it's ridiculous. You made the sandwich. you came here, so don't feel bad about it. But yeah, it's great, and I can't wait. I know, like, inevitably with enough work, content creation might take off, or I have a couple other things I'm working on that might take off, and maybe they'll do incredible, and I can stop working food service, and I can spend time with my wife on holidays. I can't wait for that to happen. Another part of, or I guess another segment I want to be doing is I want to start doing like some light reviews. Just clear, maybe not concise. I don't make anything concise. But just my clear, vented thoughts on what I think about a media I consumed. I'm not a big movie guy. I like shows and anime and stuff. But my wife's huge on movies, so I see a lot of movies with her. So maybe if she shows me a movie people have been talking about, I'll give my 2 bits on it. Instead of like doing like a video review or anything, just talking about it on the podcast, and maybe I'll like make a quick short of it. But something I really want to do reviews on is games. It's games. Since I started streaming, I've found I felt kind of bad to play any games. Oh, excuse me. To play any games offline. I felt like, oh, this is wasting content. I should just be streaming. I don't always want to stream, though. I don't always want to, be playing my games in my chair in front of a camera. Sometimes I want to, like, go grab an Xbox controller and kick back in my recliner and just, play a little bit of a game while my wife, like, sews next to me or something. She's crafty. We talked about that last week. She has a crafty mess everywhere. But, I decided, I made it kind of a goal to start doing more just regular gaming, more off camera, just, on the couch gaming. And I started doing that this last week. One of the games I played this week, I haven't finished it, where there's like this ending chapter / epilogue. We're going to be doing that tonight. But that, it's Split Fiction, which is a great game. It's a lot of fun. I kind of feel like especially the earlier science fiction portions are kind of a slog. And I feel like they take significantly longer than any of the fantasy sections. And that's whatever. I'm sure people feel the same way about the fantasy sections and feel like it's a slog compared to the science fiction parts. But I think overall it's a great game. Especially if you have like a friend or a loved one who likes games, and you guys can play it together, which I'm playing it with my wife. It's a great game. I'd rate it like an 8 out of 10. It's been a lot of fun. The plot's fine. Some of the acting's kind of poor. But there are some very neat story beats about like found family and like forgiveness and your real family. So I think I thought it was pretty fine. I'm sure the last like hour of gameplay I have left isn't gonna change my opinion of it. We'll give it, I'll say like a 7.8 out of 10. We'll do a point system, so it's more specific. I don't know if someone wants to put all these on an Excel spreadsheet on what I rate them, and I don't know. What metric it could be like plot and experience and lore, but a lot of games don't have lore. Like, that doesn't matter on a lot of games, but that doesn't make them a bad game. You know what I mean? But Split Fiction, 7.8 out of 10. And then I actually 100%ed another game. It only took me like, I think it was like 5 hours and 48 minutes or something. I was just shy of 6 hours on my playthrough. And I 100%ed it, and it was a fun time. I didn't get this. Dead air, guys. No, but I have Xbox Game Pass. And while I don't play many games on my Xbox, or I haven't been because I've been streaming, so most of my stuff's on PC. I do have Game Pass for my wife to play, because my wife does play Xbox sometimes. She's one who wants to get more into gaming, but either isn't that good or isn't that interested in anything that comes out. So one thing I've found to get her to play games like pretty consistently is I just download a cat game. If I find a game about cats, she eats that shit up. And so the other day I was just scrolling through what Game Pass has for just a free download. My wife she's been on a sewing bender for like 2 weeks. There's scraps of fabric and thread everywhere, and it's driving like I can't walk without amassing like enough scraps to make another piece of clothing around my feet. That's a bit of an exaggeration. She keeps up after herself, but lots of sewing. And so while she was busy doing that, I was looking to see what other games were on Game Pass, and I came across a game that I was like, oh, she'd love this, but she's too busy to play it. So I'm gonna check it out. And it was like 3 hours of just wandering around, without a guide. To beat the main game, and then I was like, I already have like half the achievements. I'll just go get the rest of the achievements. Why not? But I never even said the name of the game. It's called Little Kitty Big City, or Big City Little Kitty. It's one of the two. It's a fine game. It's like 6 hours. I played it all the way through it for free. My wife's gonna love it. I'd probably give it like a 6 out of 10. It's inoffensive. I beat it, and I'm never going to play it again. I'm never going to play it again. And as soon as my wife finishes playing it, if she doesn't want to play it again, I'm going to just delete it, because it's just taking up space at this point. But cute game. If you like cats, go ahead and play it. I guess I said I'd do decimals. We'll give it a 6.2. We'll give it a 6.2. Actually, I called my brother, my twin in question I mentioned earlier. He's been trying to get me to play Elden Ring for a long time. I don't know if it's my kind of game, but I will play it eventually. And I told him, I was like, dude, guess what? And he said, what? And I said, I 100%ed a game. I just finished it this week. And he's like, oh? He does that a lot. He just responds with exclamations, typically in question form. He'll go like, oh? Huh? Huh? That's a lot of our conversation. It's us just saying oh back and forth. Did you know this? Oh. Yeah, that's how my brother and I talk. My wife tells us that they're stupid assholes all the time. But I called him and I said, I beat a game. And he was like, oh? And I said, yeah, I 100%ed it. And he's like, okay, what's that? I was hoping he'd go like, oh, was it Elden Ring? But he just assumed. I talked to him. He was like, I just assumed he didn't play it. He's like, what game did you play through? And I said, oh, it was Big City Little Kitty. And he just paused for a minute, and he's like, all right, well, you have a good night. He's like, we're done. I'll talk to you later. And then he just hung up the phone. We didn't even finish that conversation. So I take it he wasn't, the happiest. He wasn't the happiest camper there. But yeah, all in all, both decent games. Neither of them were a glaring waste of my time. And if you like cats and cozy little games, I would recommend, Big City Little Kitty, or whichever version it is. And I would recommend Split Fiction if you have a duo you want to run a game with. Like I said, the science fiction parts are kind of a slog. I think it would be better to, like, the game structured in chapters. I think it would be better to play one chapter a day. Each chapter takes like 2 hours, so like one chapter a day. And then you want to get burnt out on the sloggish ones. But yeah, that's my 2 bits. Beyond that, nothing much else has been going on. Today's my sister's birthday. I'm pretty busy, so I like rarely talk to her, but I did remember to send her a text. Though my wife remembered before I did. So she's good about that kind of stuff, though. Once again, if any of you guys enjoyed, feel free to follow or subscribe depending on what platform you're on. Come check me out on Twitch or YouTube. They're normally linked below or just by the same name depending what platform you're on. I'd be happy if you guys left comments so there's more stuff I could go over. I don't really think there was any comments about this last week. Let me double check that just in case. Where is this? Dead air, guys. Dead air, and it's not from the Dr. Pepper. But yeah, we have a couple comments. We have one of my moderators, we have Bonker, saying that loves an anxious girly doing her crafts in the shadows. And yep, that perfectly describes how I've described my wife doing her sewing, in the shadows. I have to have her come on the podcast sometime. I don't want to guess to keep me on track. But sometimes I would like to just chat with you guys, with, like my brother or my wife beside me. And then, yeah, shout out Charlie Dogwood on YouTube. He did tell me that you'll get better talking to the camera as you get more experience. It's just one of those things. And I do appreciate the encouragement. So if you guys have any comments just to help me along, or any questions you want me to answer, feel free to let me know. Go ahead and follow me on this platform or on Spotify. Come over to Twitch. I stream twice a week. And if you're into D&D and looking for a group, I am a registered game master on startplaying.com. And I would love if you followed me there. Same name, once again, Captain Redbeard. And I want to thank you guys for listening to my rambles. I'm sure it sounds like someone's slowly losing their mind. But yeah, have a good one, and I'll see you next time.